we discovered a tiny little piece of a picture that showed us an Earthship. And Paul said, that's what I want to do.
Hi, I'm Paul, and this is Pat. Come take a tour of our Earthship. Earthships are an energy-efficient structure that was essentially made from rubber tires, tin cans being another, glass bottles. There's a lot of different materials that are used, and this one was called actually an earth nest. And the reason for that is it's long and it can be added to in its length. The main feature of this, you may notice the floor is like an adobe color. Well, that color is actually in the concrete, and that was intentional because dark colors absorb more heat. The same thing on the walls. You may notice that they're a darker color, and when the sun comes in, that wall with the tire in it is adobe, and you can see right here is the outside rim of the tire. And this is plastered right over with natural earthen plasters. So you create kind of a place for heat to absorb during the day, and at night they're given that heat just radiates into the room. So the room stays warmer later into the evening. We got thermal windows here to conserve the heat so that we don't lose as much. Today they make quite efficient heat, glass windows. And this feature is nice. These are called warm windows. And it's a fabric that has many layers, and they got a foil layer in there and some mylar layers, which reflect heat. Actually, the heat coming in the room would hit that curtain and bounce back into the room. It would keep the heat from going through and out the glass. The insulation above is R50, which you don't want to skip when you're doing passive solar work. Welcome to our home. This is the living area where things generally happen. We got a soft area. This I had help with. I had a man that knew how to build fireplaces, and they have to be definitely done properly, otherwise you don't have enough draw. Having a fire at the end of a day and it was cold, and sitting back and having a glass of wine and a good book. And it shows some wear over the years, but I'm not too worried about that. It kind of adds to the character. Hand wrought, which I love hand wrought stuff. Iron that was made for me to hold logs for the fire. The room itself, the walls took 2.5 months from start. We had a lot of people help us. And then from there was more plastering because you had to fill in the voids in between the tires because they lay horizontal. This back wall design happened because of the Earthship. The walls started to buckle a little bit after years of sitting there because they're rubber tires and they'll wind up sitting and compressing a little. And I decided to add this mosaic kind of landscape scene across the base. My name is Paul Senecal, and I grew up in New Jersey, Bergen County, and that was a long time ago. I went into the Marine Corps, spent 6 years there, moved to California after that. Pat and I met later. We decided to move from California after we've been there for 30 years to move out here and start another life. Because I always wanted to build a home for myself, which I had the skill, and I decided to build this Earthship. So my wife has a different story than I do, so she could tell you about her journey.
Hi, I'm Pat Senecal, and I grew up in Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, actually. And probably the most significant first mindset change was when I went to Finland at 16. It changed my whole worldview of what it was possible. So I went east to school, I married, I had a couple of kids, I lived in the suburbs, and then I had the chance, because of the disaster of the 60s, as we all will remember, I joined an intentional community, typical of the 70s. And after that, I met Paul. And we decided, since that community was not serving us as well as we wanted it to, that we would make a day to be able to go out in the world and figure out what our life was going to look like together. That's when we discovered vision boards, and in vision boarding, we discovered a tiny little piece of a picture that showed us an Earthship. And Paul said, that's what I want to do.
Welcome. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this little unit here. I built this because we have a very small house, so we needed to have something that's functioning. But it has two sides to it. This one has small drawers because the cabinet over here occupies most of the space, and it does that because we have pots and pans and usable things on this side, as well as a drawer with all our spices in it for my wife. It's on wheels, and this is our cutting board I made because it has a removable tray. I've seen people, if you cut vegetables or anything, you put them into the pan, then the pan goes over to the stove and you dump the vegetables in there. So you can always wash this out, and it becomes extremely handy, as well as for getting rid of trash. It has paper towels over here, so it becomes a functioning part of the kitchen. We built this on the short wall, so we had to be very conscious of space. This is a 24? Yeah, it's a 24-inch wide stove. This cabinets were all put in to fit in this space. This is an interesting feature. It covers our light underneath. And this feature is special because it's my wife's grandmother's necklace that's 100 years old. And what other place to put it in the center of where things happen. And you may notice that all the hardware is kind of unusual. I love hardware, so we had to go, would you believe, all the way to Santa Fe to find this stuff. This is filtered water for drinking, and this is filtered water also, but it's for dishwashing and showering and the toilet and everything else that we do in here. Because we're on portable water up here. We didn't sink a well because we're up at 7,000 feet. For this house, I've got two cisterns, which are each 1,800 gallons apiece. But the water is brought up by truck, and it could be anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 gallons of water at a time. We are very frugal when it comes to the use of water. This is our bedroom, and as you see, it's again small but comfortable. The painting is an interesting story about the painting. I bought that from a local store in downtown Durango. I didn't want to buy it instantly, but I waited a year, went back, and I had the same emotion, so I decided to purchase it. Dropping down into the headboard, interesting features that headboard is made from a 3 foot wide to a 6 feet 8-inch door, a used door that you can get very inexpensively. And then you cover it with a fabric of your choice. You can add a padding behind a thin padding and just staple it around so it becomes a beautiful headboard. Interesting is a bell we got in. Patty were lucky enough to get to China. And I bought that from the man. He had a whole shop full of them. And this is my everyday messy desk that needs constantly going over. So that's about it in here. And then as you can see, we have the bathroom right off of here, which we're going to talk about next. just reviewing what things actually cost in this house realistically, because I kept a lot of records of everything over the years. And right now our propane is running us about $55 a month. And our water is about $50 a month. And our electricity, which should go down maybe a little, is $40 a month. The land, we have 5.5 acres, and I paid, and this was back in 96, 97, when we bought it, was $42,500.
And the total cost of the materials after we built the place would be between $180,000 and $200,000 for all of the supplies and all of the expenses. The reason he was especially conscientious was because I was the hunter-gatherer of money. That was my job.
Yeah.
And so I kept tabs on it.
Yeah. As you can see, we are now in the bathroom in the Earthship. Its walls were actually right up against the earth right now with these walls. When you're building a curve into an Earthship, the tire size has to be the same. I use 15-inch diameter rim tires, but when you get to a corner, you have to go up to another size. You have to go up to a 16 or 17-inch tire, because a curve requires longer distance to wrap around. So you need tires to reach that distance and still touch one another to actually build a curve. This is a curved solid surface material that was custom made to fit into this curve. And the tile on the back was standard tile you can buy, but it does a better job of showing its color when there's light on it. The cabinets were same as the kitchen. They were boxes that I assembled. The doors came, we had to stain everything. The boxes were made. They come in pieces and have to be assembled. And same as this cabinet, which is a tall cabinet, which has a lot of our bathroom stuff in it. It's been a very comfortable bathroom. It has a skylight right above it, which we can vent. Actually, in the bathroom, we have a shower stall, which is right here. And we have a toilet further down. It's its own little alcove for the toilet. I hate having toilets right next to your vanity, because like in most of these bathrooms, commercial bathrooms that they build, they put toilets right on top of where you want to wash your face and brush your teeth. And let somebody else do it. I want it away from here. And that's the bathroom. I mean, it's pretty small. Those are all the features. So we're not doing without living off grid. This happens to be my wife's art room. She's got these cabinets here covered with pictures of the family and our travels over the years. So this is pretty cozy, but it provides everything she needs. She can do artwork in here and take a nap when she wants. So that's basically it. It's a kind of a functioning, multifunctional room, and it works very well. We do have PV panels down the hill, because we've been using PV electrical power for almost as long as we've been in here, at least a good 10 years or more. I still use the grid power as an emergency backup source, because at different times, if your batteries get too low and the weather's cloudy, you have to use alternative power to charge them back up, which I've done. And the minute they charge back up, we can turn the grid off, so we're off then. And then the sun comes out and it takes over.
I think that if somebody's worried about doing something different, they just need to jump into it. They need to know that you're going to have to give up a picture of what you think is normal. Like, I didn't think I would live in a RV for 2.5 years, but it was worth it because we were going toward a common goal. So find that common goal. Don't think about your age. We were in our 40s and 50s when we began this project. And he started pounding tires at 62. And I was out there running around the globe, bringing in money. And none of that was in our picture when we started, except our goal of an energy efficient lifestyle.
Thank you for watching. I hope it has been interesting and informative and you liked it.
If you want to get in touch with us and find out more or simply keep track of this, go to my Facebook page, which is Patricia Carter with a D, Senecal, Senecal.